Hey, 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 it's your Uncle Ringo, and with me, I have my friend over here, Braxton. Say hi, Braxton.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
I figured Braxton needed to go ahead and see me sober, even though drunk me is very fun.
It's very entertaining.
Yeah. Honestly, if we ever get the chance to hang out, I'd like to go hang out with you at Mardi Gras. I think that'd be a great.
Hell yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Although after you
Oh,
told me the heat out there, I was like, when Mardi Gras is a little cooler.
Mardi Gras is in the last week of January all the way to like
Okay.
March. So yeah, oh yeah, we can go in the cooler months.
Uh,
Hell yeah.
if I ever do another episode and I have a ton of beads, everybody should know that's what happened.
Yeah, he earned those beads.
You know I will.
Oh
My
goodness.
my wife isn't in the room where she would pop in and be like, "Yeah, he absolutely."
No, I'm with you. I understand. Oh,
So how you been, man?
man, I've been good. Been on
Yeah.
vacation. Got back from New Orleans,
Nice,
and
nice.
I can't believe that I say I missed the Tennessee Heat, but compared to the New Orleans Heat, it was nothing. So, fuck yeah. What you been up to?
So this weekend was actually really busy for me and my wife, and that's not typical. We usually sit here and I play video games. So I,
Yeah.
I just picked up all the altars and I was super excited to play it. But we were like, "Oh, hey, there's this protest. We should probably go to it." It was the No Kings protest. I was super excited about it. In fact, actually, I wore my Red Labor shirt because I was like, that stands out. I'll wear that.
Hell yeah.
Took the kiddo to it, and I told you earlier, Aberdeen is a small town. I think we had probably about 100 people show up, and people were like, "This is more people than I've ever seen protest in this town before."
That's cool though. Yeah.
Right?
Heck yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. We had a couple here in Tennessee. Our big one was in Nashville, and I'm not gonna
Hmm.
lie. I wasn't there. I was in New Orleans, but New Orleans was cool too. But man, Nashville went crazy. They had 10,000 people show up. That is
Nice.
insane for Tennessee. Like
That is.
that is crazy. But we had like 1.2 thousand show up here in Chattanooga, something like that, which is, I mean, that's crazy too. Like that's so yeah, it was really really cool.
Well, like I think the numbers I heard were like 12 million or something like that
Yeah,
across the whole country.
and
It's
there
like
was
close to
like across the globe too. Yeah,
across the globe.
it was an
God,
international protest. Yes.
that's exciting. I just know that like we were close, if not over the what is it, the 3.5% of the population banding together, or
Yeah.
something like that. Governments don't hold together after 3.5%.
So that's the excuse me. That statistic is true, but what I think a lot of people kind of overlook is it takes 3.5% to overrule or overtake a government. At least that's like the consensus.
Yeah.
But that doesn't come from peaceful protesting, unfortunately.
No.
And that's the No King's Day protest was amazing, but it's also a really good example of Democrats trying to co-opt like revolutionary movements. Like if you saw a lot of like the financial backers, like the Walton family of
Hmm.
Walmart, were
Yeah.
backing this protest. Like they're
Of course.
they're backing 5051. They're backing No King's Day. And I'm not saying that it's inherently something that like people should avoid because obviously don't avoid. Like get involved, be out there.
Yeah.
But it's a space that we should be organizing within, especially as a socialist, should be building a party within to give it teeth versus, because especially here in Tennessee, I'll use our Chattanooga protest for example. The instructions were don't impede the sidewalk, don't impede the road, stay on the grass, follow the rules, and you won't get in trouble. We're protesting autocrats who are wielding a secret police force. Like, I think it might be time to kind of like impede a little bit of business as usual.
Yeah. Well, and like you and I talked about it a minute ago. So I had a conversation with my brother, which for anyone that's watching this, I am no longer in contact with him, and I can explain why. He told me that for protests, the cops should go ahead and use live ammunition. I know I didn't tell you that, but he told me live ammunition. If you play in the road, fuck around, find out, and I will run you over. And I told him, cool. So you don't care about protesters. You don't care about your First Amendment right. You are a traitor to this country. And then he's like, no, I'm not. I would prefer January 6s over anything else. I was like, so you are actually admitting to me 100% that you are an insurrectionist and a traitor to this country, the Constitution, and your people. Glad to know. And I blocked him right after I saw that he had read that. And I was like, we're done. I'm not having that. And that mentality is a problem. If you think that it is okay to run over protesters who are following their First Amendment right, get fucked as far as I'm concerned.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's not even a political disagreement, because I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, you let politics ruin family or friendships," or it's not a political difference. This is a moral difference. Point blank. Like, this is the difference between thinking it's okay to literally kill somebody because they don't think families should be separated or people should be kidnapped out of their house, or not supporting killing those people. Like that
Yeah.
that is a line in the sand. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah. And I've cut a few people off as well. I know it's never easy, but it's sort of like a peace of mind after a little
Yeah.
bit. It's
Well, and like I was talking to my mom about it. I was like, because she was like, I called her up after I was done talking to my brother, and she's like, you seemed a little conflicted about it. And I was like, I don't know if I felt conflicted. I just don't know if I knew exactly what to do from that point. So I guess you could say I was conflicted in that moment.
yeah.
But I was like, honestly, my brother was being a cancer, and unless you have to keep the cancer because like treatment won't go ahead and cure it, you cut that shit out.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was being a cancer.
Yeah. And it's a rampant issue right now is and so I think it's also a really good example of like counter revolutionary movements and reactionary movements. So many people are still so deep in like this MAGA base, this MAGA mindset, because they genuinely think that the people being targeted are the root of their problems, of their issues. Like
Right.
they think that removing these immigrants is gonna what get them higher wages or better paying jobs or bring manufacturing back to the U.S. Like these aren't things that um, other working class people are taking from us. It
Yeah.
is the sole responsibility of the capitalist class that is ripping our healthcare away, keeping wages stagnant. But it's easier to blame somebody tangible. It's easier for me to give you a villain that lives next to you than it is to tell you the person who lives 3,000 miles away in a marble fucking home that you'll never see is the bad guy, because you can't reach that person realistically.
Yeah. Well, and I think like so as someone who has recently come to similar conclusions, it is interesting to see people kind of go, oh well, we can go ahead and fix this and leave the billionaires in the positions that they're in. And honestly, I'm like, if we tax them
Mm-hmm.
at the bare minimum, tax them at 99%, they will have more money than any of us will ever know of still
Yeah.
at that point in time. And infrastructure will be fixed. We might be able to go ahead and start doing things like getting trains up. So I don't know if I told you, my buddy and I talked about like getting like a bullet train from like the East Coast to the
Mm-hmm.
West Coast, and having something that'll take you from like one side to the other within two
Yeah.
hours. How great it'd be to be like, hey, I want to go. I've never been over to New York. Let's go on
Mm-hmm.
over there and go see that. Go down to Illinois. Go to Louisiana.
Yeah. And
You can come up here
it's
and I can show
doable.
you around Washington.
Yeah. It like that is entirely doable. I hear so many people say, "Oh, that's not realistic. That's not." We already have the infrastructure laid. Like we have railroads all
Yeah.
over this nation. The
Yeah.
reason we have highways and interstates is literally because Ford, because billionaires, because capitalists said, if I pay the government enough money, they'll abandon this rail system and put in roads." And that's literally what happened. It's doable, right? I mean, China does it. They have the fastest railway in the fucking world. It's 100% doable. It's just a matter of not allowing our taxes, our funds, our effort to go further into capital and profit consolidation for a very small amount of people.
Right. Well, and like that's kind of something that I appreciate about like the 3.5% of the population that went ahead and just you know protested. It's a
Mm-hmm.
glimpse of the possibility of America waking up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sidestepping real quick, I had heard that China's new rail system was going to go really fast. It's going to be clocking in at 400 kilometers per hour, and I'm an American, so I don't know what the hell a kilometer is, but that sounds fast.
That sounds fast. Fast as hell, boy.
Fast as hell, boy.
Fast as hell. That's awesome. Yeah, that is. They'll and I think people underestimate the size of China.
Right,
It's pretty big, and the fact that they can connect their cities the way they can. I mean, it's just proof that we can also do it. It's just a
yeah,
matter of goals,
yeah.
of focus.
Well, so my wife has a family member out in England, and so he came out here a couple years ago to go ahead and live with his wife, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I got to go to work, so I'll just take the train." And he was poorly upset when he found out that California does not have trains,
Yeah.
and it's like England's able to do it. Why
Mm-hmm.
can't we? Billionaires, that's why we can.
100%. That's why. Yeah.
Tax the shit out of them.
Tax the fuck. Tax them out of existence. Point
Yeah,
blank. Tax them out of existence. I mean,
yeah,
it drives me crazy that there are still people who genuinely believe billionaires not only deserve their money but work for it. You don't make
right.
$1 billion without exploiting a mass amount of people. Like that's it. You didn't earn that. You exploited that 110%.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. My friend lent me a book, and I don't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head. He'll be excited to hear that I'm reading it. Um, the journalist that the journalist who wrote the book, she decided she was going to go ahead and work at three companies, and the first one she worked at was FD8 Amazon out in Tennessee. So it might have been in your area. I want to say Tennessee. I'll have to look it up. But she worked there for like the month leading up to Christmas
Mm-hmm.
into Christmas, and she was like, "It was awful. You're working like 8 to 16 hours a day, and people are just cycling in and out. Like
Mm-hmm.
you walk in with 500 people, and by the end of the month, you might have 20 that are left from that 500.
Yeah. Oh, if it was the Amazon factory out here, I worked there during Christmas one season, and they call it blackout. So there's no days off. You can't request days
Yep,
off, and yeah, it is literally 12 to 14-hour days, and it is hell on earth. It
I
is
believe it,
terrible.
man. I
Yeah.
believe it. I am, you know, thank you for your service on that because like honestly,
Oh, I haven't done that in a
honestly,
long time, but yeah, no.
hey, you know what? Honestly, okay. So here's the thing. I think that everybody that works in an Amazon deserves to be thanked for that sort of stuff because you're doing work that no one should ever have to do, and our
Mm-hmm.
capitalist society has set it up so that people are kind of required to
Yeah.
do that or any number of other shitty jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But he like getting an eyewitness account on like how that works, it just drives me insane because I never worked there. The closest I had to that was I worked at Pizza Hut for the form for the words are hard, from 16 through 18. Joined the army, and I was there from 18 through 23.
Yeah.
I worked at a golf course. I worked as a civilian on an air base, and then I went to college.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I've been lucky that I haven't had to work in Amazon or retail. Those are the two that I am worried about.
That is what I've sales, retail. Honestly, I don't even know how many jobs I've had from 18 to now. But yeah, Amazon was the worst, and retail. I could tell you horror story after horror story of retail. Oh my god.
My wife has horror stories as well because she did retail
Yeah.
for makeup.
Ooh.
Hey, babe. What were the makeup companies that you worked for? So she worked for Clinique, and I got to go ahead and hear some of those stories. Like one of her fellow employees had someone throw their credit card at them. Yeah, like
Hell yeah.
hurry up and charge me. Uh,
I'm taking it. I'm
get
getting
out
it
of my
all.
store.
I'm,
Go
I'm
away.
taking it. I'm keeping the numbers and everything.
She was using the wrong verbiage, and so we didn't understand what she was asking for.
That's outrageous.
And then she wasn't ringing her up fast enough, so she pitched her credit card at her face.
That's fucking bonkers.
Oh my god.
I I hope the mic picked that up,
Yeah,
but
it did.
basically,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Um, like, and you probably have stories that are maybe not similar, but they are all like parallel to that.
Do you know what a Big Lots is?
Yes.
I worked at Big Lots for 4 years on the busiest like shopping center in Chattanooga. I I've like no joke. I've had people shit in the floor, dude. Like running through the store, like where's the bathroom? Just but like people get aggressive. So I'm a very like I'm the definition of whatever you like energy or attitude you bring to me. I do not care if I'm clocked in. We will fist fight on this floor. Like
I love
point
it.
blank, it's up. Like I don't do disrespect. Like it is what it is in person. Like if you want to bring that over here at work, I will DDT you on this mattress. Like it is what it is. But yeah, man, we've had people like one dude, like this homeless guy came in and tried to rob us with like a knife this big. It was like, hey man, I like, come on, bro. Like, there's a food bank around the way. Like, let's not do this. Like, I don't want to ruin your day. Please.
You coming in here doing that's going to ruin everybody's day, but
Yeah.
I'm going to don't push it, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's like, please, bro, stop. Listen, I don't get paid enough for this, man.
Right? Well, like, so I think you bring up a really good point in bringing up the fact like homeless people will end up doing stuff like that, and it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of funny because that ties into like the billionaire stuff. If we tax
Yeah.
them to the ever living hell and back again, we could go ahead and do stuff like
Mm-hmm.
so uh, during COVID, a lot of skyscraper buildings were empty, and I was like, why the fuck don't we go
Yeah.
ahead and turn those into apartment buildings? I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
know that it would cost a shit ton of money to refurbish them and put uh, gas or electric heating, water, and all sorts of other stuff, and making sure that it is like situated for that. But I'm like,
Yeah.
we are not using these skyscrapers, and we have learned that we don't need to. So let's turn them into apartment buildings.
So, fun fact for every homeless person, there's about 4 empty houses available right now.
Uh,
They're owned
Fuck.
by private equity firms that so I also did real estate. Now I didn't like sell it, but I wholesaled and like fix and flip houses. It was me, two people. We would just buy like places that were complete teardowns,
Mm-hmm.
rebuild, and flip them to whoever, like families, whoever. Well, the reason I stopped was because hedge funds were coming in. I mean, I'm 26 right now. I was doing this at 23, 24. Like, I didn't have the ability to compete with a hedge fund, even with the connections that I'm not going to name drop the people that I worked with because they're still doing it
Yeah.
in there, but they
Yeah.
still do this, right? They still fix and stuff, and they had like decent capital, but I mean, we were just three people from our little town in Chattanooga that fixed houses that we could, you know what I'm saying? Like, we could
Yeah.
afford to get a loan for.
Yeah.
Hedge funds were paying 110% over market value for properties, but they're buying and holding them. It's a way that they can guarantee their asset value against inflation at any given time. So they'll hold them for 8 to 10 years and then they'll dump them. So as we approach this recession, actually, it's a depression. It's not even a recession. But as
Yeah.
we approach this like volatile explosion, when it happens, they're going to swoop back in and buy up all this cheap real estate, just like they did during COVID, and then they'll
Of
hold it
course.
for 8, 10 more years and then dump it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For
so
like
there's plenty of housing. It's just a matter of capitalists owning it.
yeah. Well, I don't know. There's so many things that could go ahead and be fixed that need to be fixed, and it's just outrageous to me, like how often it is that we have conversations like this with people that are
Mm-hmm.
like-minded, and they're like, "Well, I don't know what to do about it, so let's just ignore it." And you're like,
Like,
"There are things that we
no,
could do. There are things that
absolutely.
we could do, and we should be working to make other people's lives better instead of like letting them suffer." Because
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere that I've lived, there's been a homeless problem. In New Mexico, my favorite aspect about the homeless problem was I believe it started in Santa Fe and they kicked it down to Albuquerque and then it ended up down in like Los Lunas and then it got kicked back to Albuquerque and then Albuquerque it went down to downtown inside Albuquerque.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Aberdeen, they were over by the shore by the wharf and they got kicked up here, so there's a park that's like up the hill from me, so they started showing up there. They got kicked out of there, so they're over in the parking lot, and like I can keep going. They just kept
Yeah.
bouncing them around and they haven't left Aberdeen. They're just scattered in new places, and it's like if we got them like a temporary housing to hold them until they could get back on their feet and actually like help them out, get them
Mm-hmm.
medication and work on stuff, like taking the power of the 3.5% of the population that we talked about there and getting them to like open their eyes and go, hey, we have enough energy here that we could do something about this.
Yes, absolutely. And every single homeless person is a failure of our current system. Like
Yeah.
that's just a, a lot of people try to say, oh, it's because they don't work or it's because they have a drug or X, Y, Z. It does not matter. Like those problems are rooted in the exploitation of capitalism.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, especially like in that 3.5%, especially like all the people that showed up to No King's Day, they like to have empathy, but they don't want to have enough empathy to get uncomfortable and do anything about it. Like you were just saying,
Yeah.
like we have the energy. It's just a matter of the answer is not comfortable. The answer is being very uncomfortable, like
Yeah.
physically, and having uncomfortable conversations. Right? Like it's not going out every weekend. It's sacrificing a portion of the pay you get because we still live in a capitalist system, so we still have to work and we can't just not. So we have to sacrifice what we have or might have to help people, and a lot of people aren't comfortable with that.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny that you mentioned that because the Labor Party actually had someone bring up a question. They're like, so I have a significant other that's from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And that person was like, why is it that Americans don't protest multi-days or overnight or multi-weeks? And I told him, I was like, so here's what you need to express to them. Americans don't have a system to hold them up. So if I go protest today, and today is Sunday, I have to go to work Monday morning at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I have one of the earliest shit. And if I miss that, I get fired.
Yeah.
And now I can't feed my wife and kids.
Yep.
And I'm lucky. I'm picking up a disability check from the military.
Mm-hmm.
But there are millions, hundreds of millions of Americans out there that live with that over them.
That reality, 100%, and
Yeah.
that's something that a lot of parties in the United States, and this goes for even like socialist organizations or communist orgs, that we miss out on the necessity of dual power. Dual power means organizing the working class for revolutionary movement, right? Protesting, striking, tenant organizing, union organizing, all these things. But we also have to have the community aid network established. So by community aid, right, I don't just mean like clothing drives for homeless people or food for kids. I mean financial aid networks, food networks for people who, if they do get fired, they're not homeless next week. We have tenant unions that can protect those people, that have the funds available at any given time to support families while the breadwinner goes on strike. And that is a very important aspect of every single successful movement that we've seen pretty much anywhere that we don't have right now in the U.S. And that's by design. I mean, that's if you look at the Black Panther Party, they were the most successful version of this in U.S. history, and then the FBI murdered them because they were so successful.
Right. Well, I think like this is where Americans need to like realize, and that's what I like about going out to like these protests is I can talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, actually, like I had a conversation with an older woman who was like, I was wearing one of my keffiyehs, and she's like, "That's a keffiyeh for Palestine, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, I don't follow. I try to not fall into conspiracy theory, but can I ask you a couple questions?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure, hit me up." She was like, "Do you think that Israel funded Hamas?" And I was like, they absolutely did. There's enough information that they were shipping money to Qatar, so that money would go from Qatar to Hamas, and then Netanyahu pulled his forces back so that Hamas could get in freely and easily. And I can go into more depth on that. And she was like, "Yeah, please." And I talked to her for a while about that, and I was like, tying this into what I'm trying to say here before I go on the whole Israel Palestine thing, which is a whole conversation that needs to be had, but not right now. You and I are I'm on point with that one.
Yeah.
But having those conversations where you talk to someone and you're like, "Hey, if you were to decide to make this protest every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, what do you need?" Food, water, and shelter. Those are the first three. Then you're going to go ahead and need like a bathroom place. You're going to need someone who can go ahead and take over so you can go ahead and like step away for a minute to kind of like recharge so you can come back. And protection against police invasions, protection against fascists, protection against a certain group of, people in certain areas of the country. It's by the way, it is kind of funny whenever like the Proud Boys get chased back into their little U-Hauls.
I saw that. Oh my god, I love that. I love it, man.
I have wanted to like run into them when they're trying to close their thing and throw like a smoke bomb
That'd be
into
so
their
funny.
yeah.
So fun fact, you can go to certain websites that I won't plug, but things like smoke grenades and flashbangs are 100% legal as long as they're under a certain decibel, and they're like $50. So they're classified as fireworks. The more you know. I mean, it's
Well, like my whole thing, I'm not even looking to hurt them. I'm just looking to make them, suffer a
just
little
freak
bit.
out a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, throw a little stink bomb in there,
Oh, that'd
and
be so
then
funny.
put a lock on it so that they're stuck back there for a little bit. I'm waiting to hear FBI open up.
Open the door. Oh, boy. Oh, they're the same people. So
Right. What was it that Rage Against the Machine said? Those that wear
some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses.
Thank you. Some of those that work forces are those that burn crosses. Yeah. I also love how we are seeing those ones pop up again. They are now showing face, so now we know who to go ahead and watch out for. Fucking.
Yeah.
So you and I also discussed some other stuff. You wanted to go ahead and get into the
Yeah.
what was it? 2 assassinations? It was 2, right?
Yes. So the assassin, the gunman, whatever you want to call him, the fucking heathen, had a hit list of not just lawmakers.
70?
Yeah. It was. I think it was 70, but it was a shit ton either way. But so he had lawmakers, he had abortion rights activists, he had so many people targeted, and so to cover sort of the act, it was obviously someone like a MAGA rat that felt like he was emboldened enough to do this and get away with it. But we can talk about that, but more so what I want to focus on is all of these Republicans shifting the narrative, saying that he was a Marxist. And the reason I want to focus on this is because during Trump's campaign speeches, he talked a whole lot about Marxists, about communists, about socialists, and he outright said he's going to get them out of this country. He said they cannot exist here. So with ICE and some of the things that they've been carrying out, they, of course, started with anti-Israeli, pro-Palestinian protesters, and then moved on to immigrants. We are at a point where they are going to use this as the catalyst to more broadly target leftists. He obviously was not a leftist. Like, that's not even a conversation. Like, he was very openly MAGA. But they don't need people to believe them. They only need their cultists to believe they have enough due process or right to start targeting people who they've labeled extremists, which in this case is the Marxist.
Right.
And this is going to have a trickle-down effect that we're going to see a lot more of the Proud Boys and Patriot Front specifically, just because they're the largest like right-wing organized group right now. They are going to use this as the go-ahead. they go
Yeah.
ahead to start targeting anybody carrying a communist flag, wearing a kufiya. And they're not going to get in trouble for it. They are not going to see repercussions because this was one of those events that it's like a canon event, right?
Yeah.
It happens in every pre-authoritarian autocratic regime. All they need is to be able to label one person an extremist, and then they can use that to say, "Oh, you're all bad. Crack
Yeah.
down." And
It's
that's what this is going to be.
it's the Red Scare, D&D, Satanism.
Yeah.
It's gonna be and add in Muslims.
Yes.
Like
Oh,
those are
yeah.
those are the four that I can think of that I've heard of or been alive to witness.
Yeah.
It's going to be the new thing. The Marxists are evil. It's Latinos and Marxists are going to be the new ones.
100%.
Yeah.
And they're going to use that Marxist label to label anybody who's left wing as opposition to them. And
Yeah.
the crackdown is going to be exponential. Like we
Yep.
saw how fast this went, right? And they're doing it in a very efficient way. Whether people think it's efficient or not, it is. It is
Yeah.
shock therapy, right? This is exactly what was used to dissolve the USSR in 1991. You do everything so quick that it doesn't matter if it's illegal, it doesn't matter if you get pushback, because it's already done. There's nobody left to challenge you. So everybody said they're not gonna target citizens or students.
And then
Yep.
they did.
In a month, the conversation was over. We're not
Yeah.
talking about students who are still detained or lost their green cards. We're talking about the South American communities that are being deported illegally and their citizenship is being revoked or they're being targeted at hearings. And then next month, it will be a different group. And
Yeah.
by the end of it, there won't be anybody left to stand out, not in any significant way.
Yeah. It is. I believe you were the one who brought up the poem. They came for the Jews, and I didn't stand up. I don't remember what the next line is, but it's they came for the Jews, they came for the next group, they came for the next
Yeah.
group, and by the time they came for me, there was nobody left to stand up for me. And it's I've been telling people for months now. I'm like, that's what we're looking at. It's Latinos, and then we're gonna figure out who it is next after that. And if we keep letting them go, Latinos, and then whoever, it's gonna be Latinos. Anybody that looks brown, anyone that says something
That's-
against them, the Palestinian, if you wear a keffiyeh, students, teachers that stand up, this podcast right here,
Yeah.
people like us. I don't know. It's insane to me that people are ignoring the warning signs and are just kind of like, I mean, I do believe that Americans are waking up. I do believe that Americans are starting to kind of roll over in their bed and realize they need to put on their pants, but they are taking their goddamn sweet time.
Yes, they are. And it's also, we have to make sure that as they're coming to these realizations, we don't let Democrats co-opt the movement.
Exactly.
Because I look at the civil riots, right? What did Malcolm X say? Malcolm X said the largest opposition to the civil rights movement was not the white conservative, because you know they're your opposition. You know they're racist. You know they're oppressive. It's the white liberal, because they will co-opt your movement and they'll support you as long as they don't get uncomfortable or threaten their own status in society. As soon as that happens, they'll de-teeth the movement and absorb it, and it'll lose its potency. It'll lose its effectiveness. And I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Like Bernie Sanders is a good. I know we kind of talked about Bernie before, but he can't be the torch in the dark, because he's just trying to bring people back into the same system that got us here.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so important to organize and like independent. I don't want to say third party, because I don't mean like third party as in like a Tea Party or the Green Party. I mean third party as in like socialist organization that will actually work to fight against capitalism, not just individual leaders as if they're the end all be all.
Yeah, basically something so I've had 3 or 4 episodes where we've talked about it, but like the Overton window in America is far right at this point in time.
Yeah.
We need to shift that
Yeah.
left.
Yeah. Yes, we do. Very badly.
And It's funny because like you mentioned, like Americans need to be comfortable with suffering, and
Mm-hmm.
one of my best friend, my best friend, which by the way, if you watch us, hi, he and I've talked about it. We were talking about it specifically about the 2008 crash, and he was like, realistically, if Americans really thought about it and they were okay with going ahead and being in a little bit of pain and turmoil in the short run to go ahead and change stuff, you look back at that and see how little amount of the population and you need to not pay certain things to go ahead and cripple the capitalist mentality.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
8% is the number. We are 5% away from that if we could organize the 3.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, and I think that it's wild to me that we have lived in this system that has allowed us to forget that we have that sort of power. We
Mm-hmm.
can look back and we can see, like in your area, there are stories of the rednecks and I don't remember the other place, but the workers that were shot and killed standing up trying to go ahead and change things out in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I've read about them a million times, but I'm so bad at
Blair Mountain.
keeping names. Yeah, Blue Mountain. Thank you.
Blair Mountain out in
Blair
Appalachia.
Mountain.
Yeah.
Blair Mountain. Yeah. Um, I love reading about Blair Mountain, and
Yeah.
Americans just seem to go ahead and think, oh, well, the bad stuff's in the past, so we don't have to worry about
Mm-hmm.
it now in the future, which also kind of means that like we have that 3.5% that went ahead and just protested. So now a lot of them are going to go, oh, I've done my part.
That's 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And not do like what you've just said there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let the Dems co-opt. Don't stop moving. Take that energy and keep progressing forward. We need to keep progressing.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just let this movement. It's a lot of people. 12 million people
Yeah.
is a lot.
That's a
And if
shit
we
ton.
can keep that, if we can keep that 12 million growing and moving forward and starting to wake up more Americans, we might be able to go ahead and do something. But they can't just like go, oh, I'm going to put a sign up and just use that. You got to do
Call it
other
a
stuff. You
day.
got to build community.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. Like this weekend, I told a lot of people, I was like, this can't be the only thing you guys got to go do. You got to go ahead and start like
Yes.
connecting with people.
Yeah. It's necessary to survive. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if we remain in capitalism, the only way that we make it out not starved or is by having a community that we can rely on. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't just end because some people showed up outside with signs, like you said. I mean, it can't be the end, but for a lot of people, it will be.
Yeah.
Which kind of emphasizes the need for that like revolutionary party, like the Black Panthers, that
Yeah.
while they went to protest, they did these things. These things were educational platforms, right?
Yeah.
They were ways to show people, hey, these are your demands. You have a voice, but these people aren't listening, and this doesn't change if it falls on deaf ears. And that's what a lot of areas and places are missing is that the genuine party presence.
Yeah. Well, and like that's another thing. Like along with the party presence, I've talked to a lot of people. I'm like, have you been going ahead and getting into like your school boards, your town councils, talking to your mayor, going ahead
Yeah.
and seeing the political position in the area? Like, don't, for all I give a shit, don't fucking worry about primarying, a congressman or a congresswoman.
Yeah.
Worry about your community. Worry about the town that you live in and trying to change that. Because here's the thing. As I like to go ahead and state, pushing that boulder up the hill, one person's going to end up having that fucker fall down on them. Two people, you're going to get a little bit farther. It's still going to fall on you. But you get 100, 1,000, 2,000, you can start pushing that boulder uphill. And as I keep turning back, 3.5%, 12 million people, that's a lot of people pushing a boulder. They're not pushing it in a set direction, but they are pushing the boulder. We just need to. This is the direction, ladies and gents.
Yeah.
This way.
Absolutely. Something that I think would be really, really beneficial for like the general population is a lot of people don't just go from like liberal to like socialist revolutionary. There's always like a transitionary period. And what we miss a lot of in that is, like you were saying, like local politics. So a lot of people don't know you can just start a community council, right? You can just start a tenant union. You can just start a workplace union. You need general support for those things, but you can build that support from from your neighborhood. That is so cute. He said, "Hey guys, is that his donut or did he get his head stuck in something?"
Yeah, that's his donut.
Hell
He's
yeah.
like, "Hi, I'm Remy."
He said, "Hey guys,
As you can see, he's a little injured.
I understand." But yeah, you could just start a community council, and community council is nothing like an HOA. Don't think HOA because it's not.
Yeah, fuck HOA.
Yeah, fuck that. But a community council in the way of banding together with your neighbors, you guys can pay monthly dues, and you can use that money for democratically chosen activities, be it a community cleanup, be it like something as simple as like community lawn care. Right? There are so
Yeah.
many elderly people or disabled people that can't mow their own grass, but they also can't afford to have it done. Right? So things like that, it might seem simple, it might seem, but that's what socialism and democracy is, right? It's taking care of not only yourself but the people around you that ultimately can't, for the sake of community. But you can just do that. Like you can just band together with your neighbors, be it in an apartment or like a residential neighborhood. You can start tenant unions, councils. You can like at your workplace now, especially down here in the South with like right to work states. You got to be kind of careful because they can terminate you for any reason. It has to be legal, but they're obviously not going to say, "Hey, I fired you because you're trying to unionize." They're going to go,
Yeah.
"Hey, I fired you because I can."
Yeah.
But you don't need that many people at your workplace to unionize. You need like 30%. And that 30% isn't, that just means people have to say yes when it comes time to unionize.
Yeah.
So a lot of these things sound like super complicated or these super like, you should know what you're doing before you get there. There's no, do it. Learn as you go. That's the only way that you can like concretely make real changes.
Well, and like that's one of those things that I'm learning because like this is I've got this podcast here, and trying to talk to people is like a new thing with every interaction. I am new to this sort of thing. I am new to like protesting for another country like Palestine. I'm new for trying to like get people motivated to like try and change the system, to try
Yeah.
and fight against fascism. As I was telling you earlier, wearing this shirt right here, I go out in public and I'm always worried someone's going to want to like say something, or do something. Because we live in those times. We like
Yeah.
we discussed there were two assassinations. Every time you go out of your house and you express something that someone doesn't like, are you one step away from that sort of stuff? And that
Yeah.
I think is why you have to be brave enough to go ahead and have these sorts of conversations and go. If you live in a state that, like you said, they can fire you at will,
Yeah.
you need to build up your community to help protect you against that sort of stuff. So you can work to unionize and hopefully make things better for yourself. My buddy was talking. My buddy works in the video game industry, and he's like, so there are a couple of issues. Yeah, it's really great because he gets to go ahead and tell me about all sorts of new video games that are coming up. He doesn't tell me the
He
names. He's just
said,
like, yes.
wait,
He's
wait.
just like, so there's a video game that's a shooter that's right up your alley that's coming out, and I'm like, fuck, I don't have money.
Let me get a beta, please.
right, right. But he and I were talking today, and he's like, one of the issues that I've seen in my industry is something that hasn't changed, and it's people don't want to go ahead and fight for like a 60 cents raise. They want to work. They want to fight for like getting an extra $1,000 a month, or doing like the least amount of work to go ahead and get some sort of acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's why, like, if you were given an option by your employee, either getting 60 cents extra an hour or getting like a Chipotle card that's automatically refreshed like every day or something like that, so you can go ahead and get your
Yeah.
chili bowl or whatever. He's like, most people are going to choose the Chipotle thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, realistically, I at the bare minimum, that's what I want. But I have chosen over my years to try and fight to make sure that everyone I work for gets more pay out of the work that they do. And that's one of those things that I think Americans need to realize is we need to start working to make this world a lot better, to make our country a better place for workers, to raise our fellow workers up, because this is I'm tired of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm fucking tired of it. And like I said, I'm getting a disability check. I haven't worked in a moment right now. I'm looking at getting a job, but I mean,
Yeah. But no,
got
I
to
mean
be
that's the issue with capitalism, right? Is there I guess the point and the struggle is demanding more pay in a system that demands your exploitation. It demands your
yeah,
underpay, your overcharge, and your lack of benefits, and demands to overwork you, all for the sake of their own penny.
yep,
And I I don't understand the notion of people like you were just saying, fuck it, it's just what it is. It is what it is. This is
mm-hmm.
life. Life sucks. No, life sucks because so many people have that mindset. They've been so heavily propagandized that they just say, I don't want to fight it because if I have to fight it, it might get uncomfortable. And if I get uncomfortable, I might not have access to some amenities. The
yeah,
bare, basic, like internet access. Like I love the internet. I love playing games, but so many people wouldn't be willing to give that up for a fight, for
right.
pushing against their employers, and that's by design. Like that. That's not by accident, right? All of our addictive traits of the things that we're so used to have been put there to make sure that we stay attached to them.
Agreed. 100%. And that's like that's something that I've been rolling around inside my head because, like I said, unemployed. So I have a lot of time to sit here at this desk, sitting here going over like what you and I are talking about, playing, like I said earlier, playing altars, playing Helldivers. I got back on Helldivers after that last conversation that we had, and that's my new addiction. But yeah, it gets inside you. You kind of get used to like having an AC, having running water, and all this sort of stuff. But I mean, there are people that are in Sudan. There are people that are in Palestine, Congo, Ukraine. They are being bombed, killed, raped, murdered, starved, and they're still living.
Yeah.
Like humans are resilient. Now, the one thing that I've been worried about, I have a migraine medication, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to function if that ever gets taken away from me. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, that would suck.
That would. I think that I wouldn't be able to go ahead and utilize computers as much as I like to, but if that ever happens, I will try to record it to go ahead and see how that goes. To
Science experiment.
Yeah. But to tie all this in, I think that one of the things that a lot of people need to do, and I think that's kind of where I want this podcast to go, is to have people have someone like you and me that sits down and goes, hey, if you're sitting there at work and you're like, I can do better. I can be worth more. I am worth more. I deserve more from the labor that I put out. It might be time to start trying to figure out how to organize your community so that you can better protect yourself against what capitalism likes to do to us, and that is hamstring us at our mouths, at our tap, at our electricity, your brains. Our brains are wired by capitalism to do stuff. I have another friend. She is she's a modern age witch. she self-proclaimed. And she's like, for anybody out there that doesn't realize that capitalism likes you to spend because it gives you that dopamine rush when you buy stuff. So you continue to spend, but you don't have a dopamine rush that continues after you spend. You buy, the dopamine goes away. You buy, the dopamine goes away. And it gets shorter with each and every time. She's like, the problem is if you keep doing that, your dopamine rush starts doing like little bleeps, and then you're like spending thousands and thousands of dollars that you don't have.
Going straight into debt for a hit of dopamine.
Yeah. And so one of the best ways to go ahead and work against that is to go ahead and start working with people around you. Build a garden. Yeah. You don't even have to do like all the shit that Braxton and I were saying. build a garden. Go join a writers group. Oh God, I was telling someone was like, what do I do? Because I live in a red area. I was like, see if there's a writers group, a knitting group, a dancers organization, or boxing or something. Find something that
yeah.
you like to do. Join that and find out where their mindset is. And if it's not the right mindset, find another place.
Yeah.
But I mean, do that sort of thing. Talk to your neighbors. I'm trying to set up a thing because I have a neighbor that doesn't have a lot of friends, and then my witchy friend, her husband also doesn't have a lot of friends, and so I'm like, once a month I'm gonna set up a thing where like we go to each other's house and like have a barbecue and get drunk, and then maybe go to one of the pubs and get drunk over there, and just doing stuff like that, and just trying to like make sure that people kind of build each other up.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
that's key. Isolationism is detrimental.
Yeah. If I had it my way, though, I'd go live in the forest, man. Shit.
Man, I love the woods. Listen. Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. I want a nice cabin on the edge of a lake surrounded by big-ass mountains and trees. I stay inside all day, make horror movie posters, and watch scary movies all day. All day.
I live near the rainforest. If I see a plot of land, I'll let you know.
Bet. That'd be awesome.
Get you on out here, and then we can go ahead and hang out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But I think that you and I have covered. Don't get me wrong. I know that you and I can go ahead and talk forever. But I also remember that you were asking to go ahead and keep this one a little bit shorter than last time.
Yeah,
so.
I got a meeting later on tonight. So.
And that is fair.
Oh yeah.
We have been Braxton and your Uncle Ringo. We are here to kind of help try and uplift people. Don't get us wrong. It is good to go to protests. It is good to go ahead and meet your neighbors, talk to people, interact with them, and figure out where it is that the weak links are and help fix them, help work on them.
Yes. Build a society and community that benefits you and others.
Yeah. I was about to go ahead and use my my other podcast outro. We've been streaming Wasteland, and this is...
He said, wait a minute, wrong one.
Dude, it's kind of funny having multiple podcasts because you start doing that sort of stuff. Like, I wanted to start this one off the way the other one starts off.
Just start mixing them up. Just make people guess. Like,
right?
What am I watching?
Does this dude have dementia? What's going on here?
Is this early onset? What the hell?
He looks pretty young. I was in the military and I smoked some stuff and they told me he'd be fine.
I hit my head. Now I have problems. Took too much Benadryl. It's all right. I'm good.
Right. But yeah, this has been your Uncle Ringo's Working Labor Corner or something. I don't remember what the fuck I named it. I should remember what the hell I named this one. Stay safe. Know that you were loved. Know that you were cared for. Trump is 79 years old. That dude is going to die of a heart attack or shitting himself.
Both of them.
Outlive him. And we are out.